Tutor's Homework Helper video. Today I had a very interesting problem brought to me by a student. It was an Excel project where she had a data set of about 69,000 different payments, and between an old and a new version they were off by some very small percentage, but we needed to find them. So now I'm trying to look for differences in a 69,000 line data set. So what I was sent was the new, which is the one that is off, and the old. So these are going to be essentially the same. And the way I attacked this was to sort of isolate what we could do and find a way to compare them. So what we notice is that the most unique identifying thing we have is the employee number. We also have a date and the pay. So I'm going to take those three columns and I'm going to start on a new sheet and I'm going to put them down. Right, so take those three columns. Let's zoom this a little bit. Right, so we're going to take those columns, and just so I don't confuse myself, like I just did, that was old. That was old. Yep, and this is why you write these things down, because otherwise, it's easy to get halfway through and forget where you came from. So, old. And then I'm going to go to the new file and copy those same columns. So, P, date, and number. Copy those, and now I'm done with new. But let me paste first, and then I'll close it to save resources. So I've got all three there. Now I should be done with new until I get my answers. Delete it from the clipboard. There we go. Okay, so now I have old employee number, old date worked, old gross pay, new date and gross pay. So what I'm looking for is I want to find either extra or different numbers. But after a few iterations, I realized that the best way to do that would be to find the difference and to sort them. So what I need to do is I need to take the old ones and I want to do a sort that gets them to what should be an identical order. So I'm going to sort by all three of the things that I've brought over. First, I'm going to keep employee number as my main sorter, and then I'm going to sort by the pay, and then I'm going to sort by the date. So at least they'll be in the same date, and if there's a couple of things on the same day, we'll deal with that. So once I sort that, that's only for the old data. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the new data, where I'm going to sort and filter first by the employee number, then by the gross pay, and then by the date worked. Okay, and now you can see at least these line up. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to compare each of these to. So I'm going to set up another formula here, which is the difference. And this is going to be equals one of those minus one of those. Okay, and I now want to conditional format so that if it's greater than 0, I flag it. And if it's less than 0, then I flag it. Now, as I was doing this, I was thinking maybe I want to know if it's higher or lower because I didn't know what I was going to find here. But I just started with let's make it red and we can figure it out from there. So now I take this formula and I want to copy it all the way down, right? And you can see that holding shift and clicking right isn't going to be the way to do it. So we're going to take advantage of the command up key or the command keys. So if you do command up arrow, you get to the top of the data. If you do down arrow, let me move over to one with data, I'm going to go hold the command and the down arrow, and it's going to take me right to the end of row 68,712. Right, so that's the best way to move around, and we can also manipulate it while selecting. So what I want to do is I want to copy this, right? And now if I want it to go down, there's nothing to stop it in this row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, go Command down, and then I'm going to come here, and now, since I have it copied, it's on my clipboard, I'm going to do Command Shift up, and the Shift is going to select all of these. That'll take me all the way to the top. And then I'm going to paste, so Command V. And now I have everything listed in red that has a discrepancy. Now, if you look, there's a whole lot of it. And so something's going on and I need to figure that out. So I still didn't know what the difference was, but I started poking around. And here's what I ended up doing. So I went to a very small zoom, right? So that I could scroll and get, right? And all I'm looking for is red. So I'm scrolling down, right? If you want to grab, this video keeps getting in the way. Let me just get rid of me. Come on. Right, so if I go up here and I pull it all the way down, there's some red. And now if I try to find the top of the red, where am I? There I am. So now I'm looking for the top of the red. When does it stop being red? Right, so here's a big stretch, nothing red, and the beginning, there it is. So I want to get it just on the screen, and now I select somewhere in there, and then I zoom back to 100, and it'll tell me where it is. Now I need to find the actual start. Okay, here it is. So what I've got is, I'm looking at employee 6065940. And the first ones don't match, but this first one is 9371. This is 9371. These look kind of funky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove them. Right? So I just grabbed and I moved them. What I did is I grabbed them here and I moved them over to column I. Right? And now what I want to do is I want to slide everything up. So I'm going to take these, delete them. And when it asks me, I want to shift the cells up. Now this is where I ran into a problem, because you'll notice these numbers didn't change. And because Excel follows cells when you move them around, what I need to do is I need to recopy the formula that just has these two. So I'm going to highlight the one above it, Control C to copy, Control Shift down to go to the end, and then Control V. And I've now essentially reset my difference finder to come all the way over here. So just so we can see, that was row 35, 494. So we made it about halfway through the data set before we found our first one. And now let's go down. Oh, there's another one pretty quick. So now I'm looking at, so that was about 3,000 that turned from red to good. And so now let's look at this one. I see the first one for employee 38 is 860, and look, it looks like I have the same thing. I've got three files in, or three entries in here that just don't seem to match. I'm going to move them. I'm going to delete these. Right, so I moved those, and now I need to fix this. So Control C to copy, Control Shift down arrow to highlight, and Control V to repaste. And then I keep cruising. And if it gets like this, I'm happy to go back to small and look for red. Right, that at least let me zero in. There we go. If you happen to stop on it, click on the top red, back to 100%, and there's our data. So let's look at what's happening here. Okay, beginning of 38, and so it looks like there's an extra 37 here. Right, so let's look at, looks like we're going to have to look at number 37, and all of these line up, right? We didn't get a 0 till here, so it must be this last one, and that's just sticking out there, right? These are all 228, that's 282, so I'm going to pull that one out. Delete those. Redo my formulas and go hunting again. And you'll see that each of these fixes clears up thousands of pink cells. And that's because they're all just shifted by one, but it's a little harder to see. All right, so here we go. Now I've got, it's close. So this is only a difference of $1 because the misaligned ones were so close to the next one. And then here it looks like, again, I've got 3 numbers here, right? This is the first one that's different. And then this 367 seems to be down here. So I pull out these 3, do my cleanup, and you could do a macro for this. But once you get in the habit, or once you get used to it, you know, Control C, once I figured out these keystrokes, it was a whole lot easier to do this. So it always looks better the second time you go through something. And now we get to the bottom. Is that it? Or is there one more chunk? Nope. Oh, yeah, one more chunk. And so let's see what we got. Right, I've got 89, and near the end of 89, I've got 2 144s, 2 more 144s on the right, and it goes right to a 171. So if I remove these 2, everything slides into the right place. Delete, up, copy to the end, paste. And I think that was it. Yep. And if you look now that I see, that's where those extras were, right? I had 12 extra lines and they were sprinkled throughout the rest of the data. So now I know I put them all in I, and I'm going to run past them, but how do I collect them all? So what I did now is I went to these rows where I know I'm covering those things I moved to the side, and I'm going to filter those and just remove the blanks from row I, and that's how I get my 12 units here. And if you take those out, they should match. So let me get my video back up, maybe. Oh, never mind. Anyway, I hope you watched this. This was nice. It was sort of a real life problem that came at me, and I thought it would be interesting to see how it was solved. Rockpile Tutors, and come find me at rockpiletutors.com if you'd like any tutoring in math, test prep, or Excel. Bye-bye.